by champions.
After 3 years of existence, the Grand Prix Cycliste de Quebec is known as one of the most venerable stops of the prestigious World Tour. One only need to glance at the list of riders to understand. Names like Contador, Schlecht, Froome adorn the field. All here to try and master this course along the streets of the old capital. We also need to keep an eye on a man who elevated his status. Perhaps the best rider on the planet nowadays, the Slovakian Peter Sagan. With the last 3 years as an example, predicting the outcome of this competition is a perilous task. It's anyone's game for sure. Could one of the 13 Canadians make a run for the podium? Winner of the 2012 Giro d'Italia, rider Hesjedal would like nothing more than to win on Canadian soil. Now a few days from official retirement, could the first Quebec-born rider to have completed the Tour de France fire up the crowd? David Veilleur could go out with even greater glory. No one knows the outcome, but the battle will be one of titans in this 4th edition of the Grand Prix Cycliste de Quebec. Welcome to Quebec City, and hello again, everybody. I'm Peter Graves. It's great to have you along. We've got an exciting event coming up here with racing in this wonderful town. Calling the action with me is a man who joined us for all the last telecasts here in the Grand Prix, 3-time Canadian Olympian and director of the Canadian Men's Road Squad, Gord Fraser. And Gord, a stellar field that has us all excited.
Yeah, Peter, we have 7 Grand Tour winners, no less, including the last 4 winners of the Tour de France, so that really jumps out at you.
All right, well, we know what these guys have done in the Grand Tour, but sometimes you got to have your chops going and that mojo working for the one-day events. Who do we look at for those guys?
Yeah, I mean, the start list is dominated by the Grand Tour winners, of course, but this is a one-day race, and it really favors the riders that excel in the single-day classics. Riders like Greg Van Avermaet, who was second here last year, and the man who has dominated 2013, Peter Sagan.
Looks like a great field today. Well, now let's join the third member of our commentary team as Randy Ferguson takes a look at the course.
Here we are at the start of the Grand Prix de Québec on Grande Allée. This adventure, 201.6 kilometers, 16 laps around a course of 12.6 kilometers. After a few pedal strokes, the peloton enters Le Parc des Champs de Bataille on the Plains of Abraham. Throughout the race, this is a privileged point of the course where teams can prepare and also fix bicycles, and if the weather changes, change clothing. At kilometer number 4, the riders will start the first difficulty of the day, the famous descent of the Gilmore Hill. This portion of the course, if it's raining, could be very dangerous and very slippery. To add to the difficulty of the descent, a 90-degree turn at the bottom takes the riders onto the Boulevard Champlain. Following kilometers 5 to 9 on Champlain Boulevard, they are on their way to the first climb of the day. Riders could have to face a crosswind or a headwind, totally throwing their plan of the day into the wind. Hotspot number 1 of this Quebec course, the famous Côte de la Montagne, maxing out at 13%. This is a very strategic point along the course where many attacks will be attempted. The kilometers that follow offer little rest for the peloton. Very tight, very narrow. It is full of obstacles, and watch out for those athletes who are not paying attention. Hotspot number 2, another favorite spot for the favorite riders in this race. Riders that were not able to pull away on La Côte de la Montagne will once again try to move away from their adversaries on La Côte de la Potasse or on the very steep Rue des Glacis. Third and last hotspot of this Quebec course, but one of the most important ones, the Flamme Rouge, as they say in French, the final kilometer. It is a false flat of 4% over 1 kilometer. It is here that we frequently see riders trying to get away from the peloton as they are tired and completely spent after the last kilometers of climbing. However, passing the start-finish line, the riders have no rest, as the next kilometer still climbs oh so slightly before going down the Côte Gilmore once again. And to top it off, the first few laps through this start-finish line, the riders well know that they have to do it over and over and over again.
Well, as you can see, Gord, it is a very challenging course, and so the profile is amazing.
Yeah, and every year in Quebec City, the winning attack has come earlier and earlier. So I'm wondering this year if there might be a new tactic, whether an early break might make it all the way to the line. We'll see.
And Gord, another bit of breaking news, because we learned Wednesday that David Veilleux of Canada is deciding to call it a career at a very young age.
Yeah, that's right, Peter. That's kind of a surprise announcement. David was on a fast track of a very stellar career. He had the yellow jersey this year at the Dauphiné and rode his first Tour de France. In fact, the very first Quebec rider to ever ride the Tour. So a bit of a surprise announcement, but he's got other ambitions in life. He's got some engineering degrees he's working on. So we wish him all the best.
All right, Gord. Well, before we get down to today's exciting race, let's hit the rewind button to a very exciting race here just a year ago. A strong contingent of riders was once again at the start line of the Quebec Grand Prix. Peter Sagan, Edvald Boasson-Hagen, Rui Costa, and Thomas Vauclair were present to battle it out in front of thousands of fans on the streets of the old capital, on a course deemed one of the toughest on the World Tour circuit. After an aborted attempt of 12 riders in the first kilometers of the race, Thomas Roeriger and Vladimir Gusov launched the big break of the day. Soon joining them to create 8 strong were Danilo Weiss, Thomas Lieser, Lucas Husser, Sandy Cesar, Marsh Cooper of Canada, and Hugo Houle. They gained a full 6 minutes on the main bunch. However, with Garmin and Europcar working at the front with 6 laps to go, it was a clear sign their adventure would soon come to a close. With 32 kilometers to go, they were caught on the climb of La Côte de la Montagne. In a last-ditch effort, Chris Anker Sorensen took off and held a 20-second lead at the start of the penultimate lap. Despite all their efforts, they're caught with 4 kilometers to go at the foot of the final climb. Greg van Avermaet took to the front, and the only man who was able to match his pace was Simon Gerrans. In the last kilometer, Peter Sagan looked like a rider who would spoil Van Avermaet and Gerrans' party, but he would finally fade with less than 300 meters to go and would be swallowed up by the bunch.
He's making his run for the line. Gerrans. Van Avermaet. Looks like 1-2. Simon Gerrans, Orica Green Edge, Australian champ. Van Avermaet second, and Rui Costa.
Sitting strategically and patiently on Van Avermaet's wheel in the sprint lead-out, Gerrans would gain the victory at the end of the 201.5 kilometer race. Well, we've got a lot going on in beautiful Quebec City, and we'll be right back to kick it off in just a moment.
Responsibility to play their card. BMC are taking a pretty big chance here as Machado, look at, he wants to get that KOM. The motorcycle is in the way. Hopefully the other guys will let him pass, and I'm sure this has got to be his last. But I keep saying that. But
you do keep saying it.
It's incredible. Great job on Machado. He's going to take some points, hopefully the maximum points here to take the KOM, and he does indeed do that.
Riding with panache.
Very much so. Bowbridge and Moinard looks like they scored some point as well. have to drive this anymore, as Saxo Bank now looking to, it almost looks like an attack, but it is pulling. Cannondale is second wheel. Vacan Soleil is up there as well. Europcar is the first we've seen of the green team of Europcar. They have a lot of good riders. Veilleux obviously last weekend of competition for him, so hopefully Europcar can continue their successes in Quebec. We talked about Vauclair winning. This is where he made that attack 3 years ago, right on this Avenue de Jardin.
And they've whittled down that time. The chase group to the peloton, 20 seconds now. There are the points so far for the King of the Mountain.
Excuse me, that was on Saint Jean Street, right there on the pavé, and these riders now are gapped off. Tommy Danielson there, the recent winner of Tour of Utah. Andy Schleck, unfortunate. I think the flat tire had a lot to do with this. Rob Britton there, he's going to try to get back to the field, but these guys are pulling the pin and saving themselves maybe for a race that a little better for a guy like Danielson in the race in Montreal. But this Lotto rider and the Sky rider, yeah, they're not going to make it back. If they're dropped here, they're not going to make it back. Rob Britton as well is done for the day, as up front, Saxo Bank, Cannondale.
Saw Danny Pate a moment ago from the Sky team.
Yeah, Danny did some good, very good work we saw, especially on Champlain, keeping Froome very much further forward in the race. So, you know, those efforts, you pay a price, believe me. At this level of competition, anytime you win on the side of the group, it's a big bullet that you shoot. So, great job by Pate, doing some good work. As you see, the pack is in full flight. Vorganov has pulled the pin from the break. So, you know, him sitting on obviously was by necessity. He was definitely hurting, as Machado still taking some strong pulls here. Incredible riding by the Portuguese rider on Radio Shack. 3 BMC riders, Moinard, Morabito, Van Garderen, Harada from Movistar, the Spanish champ, and of course Bobridge from Belkin. So that's your breakaway. And even Harada's hurt in the back there for Movistar, as this is some serious tempo. Moinard flicks his elbow. That's the universal sign for the next rider that he's done his pull and he wants the next rider to come through. Bobridge does the same thing. Van Garderen obliging, taking his turn as back behind. Saxo Bank is really ramping up the pace. We've got 4 laps to go.
Yep.
Let's see the split here on this lap. It's going to be in the 18 minutes for sure as well. See the sweat coming off of TJ's chin. 17:50, so that's our first lap under 18 minutes. 42.5 k an hour.
And the peloton really gaining ground now.
4 laps to go as Saxo Bank again, full chase here. You see the peloton, single file. Nobody wants to be out in the wind. Everyone wants to be behind a wheel, so that's why it's single file.
And this changes just about everything now. Or soon to be.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens when this break, if they get caught. Will some new attackers kind of come out and try their chance? BMC really went out early, I thought, with 6 laps to go, or you know, on the 6 laps to go lap. So they're taking a big chance, but they can afford to take a chance. They have Van Avermaet that has their back with a super strong card, not only in a late attack but in a bunch sprint situation. So they can afford to race aggressively. But what's going to happen is, if it's not successful, like guys like Van Garderen can actually help Van Avermaet, and if they spend too much energy in this break, then that's less energy they have to help Van Avermaet in the finale. So Van Avermaet, yeah, he's sitting well, but that's less help he's going to get. But I think he can freelance pretty well on his own. So we'll see what happens with BMC. They still have Daniel Haas as well, who's very, very good at positioning sprinters. Actually, he was Sagan's lead-out man for many years on Liquigas on Cannondale. So Haas is there. He's shifted teams. He's going to try to help Van Avermaet instead of his old friend Sagan from the Liquigas days. So there's Vorganov. We had seen him come out of the breakaway, so that might have been team orders. You see him now driving the front of the pack, although he's driving it so fast that he's not pulling the pack especially, but that looked like then it wasn't necessity, but more of a team order situation to come back and help with the chase.
Peloton just 15 seconds behind
Katusha have
the break.
Katusha have a client to win in Kolobnev, who was third in Montreal last year. Punchy rider. I don't think he's got the speed of a Sagan or Van Avermaet, so he's going to have to be aggressive and kind of counter this attack. If Vorganov is successful in bringing the pack up to the BMC group, I think you got to look for an attack from Vorganov as the Française de Jeu rider there on the left-hand side of your screen. Takes a new flyer, trying to bridge across.
Cannondale Du Bois respond to that one.
You see the gap is pretty big on this camera shot, but this is a fast part of the course, so it's kind of deceiving. It's only about 15 seconds the gap, so we saw a few guys trying to bridge, you know, Snowby, Selvaggi, and Velitz, but they got pretty much halfway across before blowing up. So it's going to take a special attempt to kind of go across to this breakaway.
And Machado still trying to hang on there. You can tell now the effects of this are really coming together for him.
It'd be nice to see the updated King of the Mountain standings. We can see just how many points he has, because of the last 3 laps, they're 10 points for the winner of the KOM. So he's going to need, like I said, about a 20-point total if history repeats itself. I think he's got 22, if my math is right, which wasn't really my strong suit. TJ throwing a big pull. Moinards is really suffering. So is Machado.
But this guy is one tenacious rider.
25 seconds now. The gap has increased slightly with the rotation of this group. The more they can rotate and share the workload, the faster they can ride. So you want to pull hard, but you don't want to pull so hard that the other guys decline to pull. So it's kind of a balancing act there. Again, Cannondale, you know, it's really Sagan's race to lose. Everybody knows it, and it's cool to see a team like take accountability for that race favorite, and they've been doing all the work so far in this race, and you know, hopefully they have enough firepower to keep control of the race all the way to the end for Sagan. See how it's kind of like a conveyor belt. The wind is from their right. They're rotating clockwise. So you know, the more they can execute a conveyor belt type rotation, the faster they're going to go. The shorter amount of time they're going to be on the front, which obviously is you know, keeps their energy levels high. Machado again doing very, very well to cling on to these guys. He's like got the bungee cord out and wants to attach up to Morabito in front of him there.
87 Machado from Portugal.
That's TJ. 118. Kind of disappointing tour this year, but it's rebounded well. He won the Tour of California in the spring and USA Pro Challenge just last month. Cannondale again, the green, omnipresent on the front. Got one Lamprey guy kind of in their formation, so Lamprey still giving him a hand. Saxobank have kind of disappeared now. They did a little bit of work on the climb, so it's probably about all they have to give. Machado still struggling with that descent. This is going to be a really strong, hard effort for him to get back. This might be it for Machado. If he can get back from that gap, that might be his last bullet. But hats off to Machado, great ride. As we look at the peloton again, faster line seems to be on the inside of that island.
Well, he has certainly left all he has out on this course, on this circuit today.
Yeah, absolutely. Now Cannondale are kicking very hard. Here's where they can have 2 birds with 1 stone. They got to chase. It's clear they got to chase, but if they chase it right here, they can actually do damage behind them with that crosswind. So they're doing it's like a catch-22. They're obviously chasing, but if they can have an effect of killing the guys behind, they'll take it. So this is the part of the course where they can really hurt people behind and not just drag them around all day.
One Lamprey rider is in that group as well. Now we're down to 45.2 kilometers to go. There are the chasers. And as previously stated, the Cannondale group very much to the front of this pack.
That's not easy when you're sitting in the line. They're definitely taking wind on their right shoulder. So like I said, Cannondale, yeah, they're chasing, but they're also doing damage. So it's a double-edged sword that they're wielding right now. Sagan, look at it. He's eating a handmade treat from the soigneur. He'll probably go to more manufactured good like a gel later in the race, but still some quasi-real food going in. But you got to choke it down here on the flats. Obviously on the climb, you want to have both hands free to be able to stand out of the saddle. So on the flatter parts, you can take one hand off, get your task done, get your feed, get your bottles, what have you. But on the climbs, not only is your heart rate spiking, which makes it hard to eat or drink, but you also want both hands on the bars to be able to stand and accelerate if need be.
.44.2, 44.1 now left to go.
Lamprey.
Now Lamprey has a couple of riders up there, Gord.
Yeah, they're adding a few more guys to the chase. Italian teams now cooperating. They can probably speak each other's language quite well. As Teddy King there in the reflective glasses coming to the front. He's been a very strong worker for that team as the Lamprey rider, signaling to the riders behind that probably the curb is encroaching. This Boulevard Champlain does narrow down, so there might have been a sidewalk establish itself. Yeah, you see the cones up there. You see how it angles in. It might be a bus pullout or something like that. But good communication from the Lamprey guy to the rest of the group in behind. Machado doing very well. Very understandable to sit on. He's not going to get any grief from these guys. They know exactly what he needs to do. He needs to sit and recover as much as he can to get another few points in the King of the Mountain title. Terada and Bowbridge are doing very, very well to help BMC on this tentative. Very risky tentative, but very aggressive move by BMC, and it's good to see a strong team like that really take a chance and really give it to the sprinters.
And Gord, we see the first drops of rain on the lens of the camera.
Don't say it.
And there you see split screen.
15 seconds. It's come down a little bit. That acceleration from Cannondale to kind of tenderize that group in behind has had its effect on reducing the gap, and we might just see a new race here on this lap on the climbs. 15 seconds. I think it's bridgeable now for somebody fresh. Maybe there'll be some takers on bridging the gap and providing some new legs to that breakaway. Francis Desjeux having a nice formation there in blue on the right-hand side, and Argos there in the white, bringing up Parisien. So it's good to see Parisien taking a captaincy role on Argos. The team in white are most known for their sprint train with Kittel and Degenkolb. Mezgec as well can light up the sprints. So Argos know how to ride as a team. That's the one thing of their strength. They can somehow find themselves and get information in the most panicky group situation. So Argos are doing very well, and it looks like we got all together here.
Vacon Soleil there.
Vacon Soleil timing it nice. The group is now caught with looks like Morabito and Van Garderen are still going to hit the lower slopes of the Côte de la Montagne first and second, but it's all back together. New race, Peter. We'll see how aggressive this climb is on this lap.
Another chapter written in the book right now. 41.9K to go. Live from Quebec City.
See the shifting going on. The guys at the back, you see how they're almost walking through that corner. That's a big disadvantage. These guys are flying up this climb, and the other guys are just starting to accelerate. So Beaubridge, Morabito, new attack from Vacon Soleil. Selvaggi had a dig to go across last lap. Let's see who it is this lap. It's not Selvaggi. Might be Leukmans. We haven't talked much about Vacon Soleil, but they always have a very well-rounded team. They need to race aggressive. One Française des Jeux rider there. And that looks like Daniel Oss. So a new BMC rider now. I would have pegged him as more of a lead-out guy for Van Avermaet, but BMC, you can tell, they don't want to miss anything in this latter stages as back and behind. You can see the effects of this race. Guys are blowing up left and right. Astana, Katusha, Euskaltel, all in trouble here. Some Argos riders. So that's the contrast. Guys who have legs and guys who don't. Guys are flying up the road and guys are getting blown out the back, because Daniel Oss now taking a huge turn down this descent, going towards the second step of the Glacis. Machado's nowhere, so I think he's got enough points now. What he needs to ensure the King of the Mountain is different winners of the next few laps. If one guy gets a couple laps, gets a couple 10-pointers, then he has the potential to snag that King of the Mountain title. But what he needs is different riders now taking those 10 points and ensuring that his 22 points is going to be sufficient for the King of the Mountain title. As the Française des Jeux rider, maybe that's Soup. Let me check my list, but no, he's not here, but it could be Vorenard of Française des Jeux. We'll get the numbers here in a second. But back in the field, Beaubridge is still, he missed that move. He's still got some good legs. He's welding it back together for Belkin. Herrada is still up there, the Spanish champion from Movistar. So their positioning, being caught from the breakaway, is still paying off, and they're still on the front end of this race as Daniel Oss goes up towards the King of the Mountain. This is Côte de la Glacis, up to the King of the Mountain line. He's followed closely by the Française des Jeux rider and Vacon Soleil guy. In behind, the peloton is fanning out. New riders are coming to the front of this race, so we'll see some new players and new teams. We're seeing Française des Jeux and Vacon Soleil really for the first time. Oss easily takes that sprint for 6 points.
And Gordon, we do have some guys back in the peloton that have some fresher legs.
Yes, we do. As Oss takes the points, there's Boswell and number 3, that's Dombrowski. So the young American riders on Team Sky done a lot of work for Froome and Thomas. So hopefully they can repay these young Americans their efforts as Oss continues on the Avenue Saint-Jean on the patio stones again. This is a part of the course where Vauclair did his winning attack in 2010.
Under 40K to go. 39.4. Some light drops of rain now beginning to fall with greater frequency.
Oss is ticking over a good cadence. We got one Omega Pharma and one Katusha now bridging the gap in behind there. That could be Chabanel. That'd be an interesting player, but it looks like this style. Sylvain Chabanel, one of the favorites of this race. You also have Kwiatkowski of Omega Pharma, the Polish champ, who's had a fantastic year, especially at the Tour de France, wearing the white jersey as best young rider. But that could have been Chabanel. We'll have to get another camera look at that, but it certainly looked like Chabanel, and one Katusha rider bridging across to those other 3. So we have a group of 5 in front. Can't be more than 5 or 10 seconds gap.
Leaders going by the Hotel Frontenac.
It's definitely not Chabanel. We'll get the player here in a second. But 5 teams, 5 strong teams, new players up the road. I don't see Cannondale in numbers up front. They still have one rider doing some great work. Argos there as well. Vacon Soleil have a guy up front, so third wheel, he's not going to contribute to this chase at all.
Once again through Le Grand Allée, 38K to go. the chasers. And there are many of them. If we can escape the rain, or at least a lot of it anyway, the temperature is just about ideal for racing now.
It could be Trenton for Omega Pharma. He has a good turn of speed. He was in the sprint challenge last night, so we'll see a very strong lap, 43 km/h. First lap over 43, as George Bennett there of Radio Shack has taken up chase. They don't have anyone in the group. Cadell Evans looking really good in the front of the race. He has Oss up front, so he won't chase. Chris Froome at the front as well. So two Tour de France champions at the very front of this race. One, of course, has a teammate up front. BMC have Oss, but Froome has nobody up front, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of decisions he makes as the Omega Pharma rider. I believe that's Trentin, is putting a hand up. I don't know where he's signaling. Certainly no cars can come into this gap as he gets this. It's Devenins actually, excuse me. Chernetsky of Katusha, Alfredo of Française de Jeu, and Marcato of Vacansoleil. So Marcato has a good turn of speed. This is a good play for Vacansoleil. And Oss also has a good turn of speed for BMC, being a former lead out of the man, Peter Sagan. So interesting makeup here of the breakaway, but there's certainly a lot of teams that are missing out.
36.7 to go. Europe car.
He's not going to get any help from that Vacansoleil rider. They already have somebody up front. Unless the Europe car rider can get him close, that Vacansoleil guy is going to sit and take the free ride across the breakaway. But they're getting pretty close. He might just help him out, and hey, two in the break is better than one.
.1 kilometers to go in this race. There is 34.4 kilometers to go. Pete Graves, Gord Fraser, happy to be with you as we are working towards the conclusion of this epic race today.
So we had two riders jump across. Sergei Lagutin, the Uzbek rider, did some stints in America on Navigators back when my last year of racing, and Turo of Europcar, the big tall German on their team. They made it across. So Vacansoleil now have two riders in this group of 7, along with Devenins of Omega Pharma, Daniel Oss of BMC, Marcato of Vacansoleil, Chernetsky of Katusha, and Alfredo of Française de Jeu. So good numbers up here. We have a good sized group, good power. Obviously they have to be pretty strong to be attacking in this late stage. Vacansoleil have 2 riders in the move, and we'll see how the cohesion is here. Now BMC, they tried to set the race alight the last few laps with Van Gardner and company. They still have a good car here in Oss, but we'll see how strongly Oss contributes now to this breakaway. I thought I saw him kind of leaving a gap for others to fill. Turo's coming back. Oss goes in front, and Alfredo is continuing to stay at the back. So almost everybody is contributing now to this breakaway.
And about 2 kilometers an hour faster than the earlier time.
The wind has picked up, and you see some raindrops here. So this is a particular slippery part of the day when the raindrops just start to come on the surface. It mixes with any oils on the ground, and it is very slippery. It needs a good soaking before all that oil is gone. So these guys might just tiptoe down this very steep, very violent descent of the Côte Gilmore. And of course that nasty left onto the Boulevard Champlain.
33 kilometers to go. Time winding down in this race.
I think right now it's just a question of Cannondale has dominated this race so far. It's a 15-second gap. There's a lot of new teams up the front. Is there any team that's really caught out that wants to help Cannondale along Boulevard Champlain here? Alfredo still sitting at the back trying to eat, not helping with the rotation at all. Oss doesn't want to help, seemingly. Although he did slide forward in front of Devenant. So we got two Vacansoleil riders. That's Sergei Lagutin with a strong pull on the front. Excuse me, that's Mercado. There's Chernetsky. There's Lagutin. It's interesting not seeing him as Uzbek national champion. I think that was like his jersey to own for his life. He won it like the last 3 or 4 years, but he's in his traditional Vacansoleil team kit as Cannondale again, picking up the pieces here. They've got to be running out of guys. They've ran their team from the front since the second lap to contain the first and second breakaways. Do they have any horsepower to contain this new breakaway? They have 4 riders out the front. One of them got to be Sagan, or maybe Sagan's further back, about 10th wheel there. But they're running out of guys. They can't have this race be so aggressive and have Sagan win the race. They're going to need some help from another team. The earpiece taped in, getting directions from their management. Mercado has his unplugged, whereas Lagutin is plugged in. Interesting to note they're rotating now counterclockwise, so that means that the wind has probably changed from a crosswind from the right, which would necessitate a counterclockwise rotation. It's probably now a straight headwind. That's the reason why they changed the direction of the rotation here. So a little hint here that the wind has probably moved strictly into their face, and they're rotating in a counterclockwise fashion here now. Machado, 21 points. He has a 15-point lead on Daniel Oss. Goldridge took a point there the last time, and he has 4 points. Yeah, even Cannondale are rotating. Well, they're rotating clockwise still. So contrasting rotation directions for the two groups as Rory Sutherland is there as a young rider. Maybe he's cheering on David Veilleux or Francois Parisien, but he's got some wheels on him, that youngster.
Yes, he does. And probably dreaming about the future. He's got a good sprint.
That's great that they can ride alongside like that. Hopefully it's safe and there's nothing oncoming. But great treat for the youngsters here at Quebec City. I hope these races inspire new riders here in Canada to take up the sport. He's in that biggest gear. I don't think he's got any gear to use left.
Well, it certainly has his wits about him. Back to the front, 30.4K to go.
Let's see how Daniel Oss in the red. He is sitting on the back, so he's not contributing to this move. I think he's trying to stay fresh for perhaps a attack, maybe from Cadell Evans, maybe from TJ again to go across. But Oss, this isn't quite what BMC want. They definitely had numbers in the break before, pretty much overwhelming numbers, but they're not really comfortable with this. And Oss is opting to sit out of the rotation, as I think that might have been, let's see, I think that was Bennett going up the side. No, that was Bacalance, the stage winner, using the sidewalk, as all good Belgian riders can do. All races in Belgium, you got to use the whole road, sidewalks, parking lots, anything to get an edge in those positioning. In Belgium, they'll do it. So not for the faint-hearted racing in Belgium, and Bacalance certainly using that experience, gaining a few positions up on the sidewalk.
Less than 30K to go.
Gap is holding in around that 20-second mark as the effort is starting to show on some of these Cannondale riders. They've had an iron fist on this race from the beginning, but you got to wonder how many guys they have left. They got 4 on the front, one of which probably is Sagan, so they only have 3 workers left. I'm sure they want to save Caruso for the finale, as the breakaway is always measuring what they're doing. They're not going to do a pull if they don't have to. If the group is close, that means they need to shut down their effort. So very aware of what they're doing, that breakaways, checking their 6, looking behind, making sure that their pull is actually going to be of benefit to this group.
Off the Boulevard de Champlain, and now beginning the climb here with 28.8 kilometers to go. A Europcar rider in there is Bjorn Thoreau, a German rider.
That's right. I think he's family with the legendary rider Didi Thoreau, as Os swings left. And the rest of the break take the quicker line through that right hand bend up the Côte de la Montagne. And still in force here in Quebec City. That's Thoreau.
There is the German rider, as mentioned a moment ago.
Very tall rider.
Yeah, he is.
He's going to provide excellent power on the flats. It's Belkin now taking matters in their own hands. It's Hastings second wheel as you see the damage being done at the back. He's almost to a walk. Again, contrasting abilities here as the brake soldiers on. Belkin look like they're trying to shut down this move, but more in a bridging fashion, not the chase mode of Cannondale, but more in an attacking mode and bridging across. They don't want to drag anybody. They want to make it across clean, but they haven't broken any elastics here. There's a group of about 7 or 8 that's kind of fracturing now in the peloton. As you see, a lot of these guys want this descent to be recovery, but you can see the strain is anything but recovery on that descent.
Vacan Soleil, 2 riders out front. The best always make it look easy, but there is an awful lot of vertical on this course. A real challenge.
Yeah, you can see the Belkin riders there closing the gap slowly and surely to this leading group of 7 riders. There's the chase, 2 Belkin riders. It's Hastings second wheel. A reminder that Hastings has indeed been on the podium here in Quebec, second to Gilbert a couple years ago. He's won in Montreal. You know, a guy that was pedigreed as a next Grand Tour contender for Holland, hasn't quite come up with the goods in the Grand Tours, but he is still a very effective rider in the single-day races. Looks like he has some good set of legs on him, and Belkin are riding accordingly with Hastings in mind.
Belkin, the new incarnation of what was the Rabobank team. Hastings, a very strong climber as well. Big hope for Dutch cycling fans, particularly in single-day events. 26.9K left in this race.
Le Gutin here insisting on this move. Very strong rider. On the Avenue Saint-Jean on the patio stones. Gap is coming down. 191 looks to be in trouble. That's Veilleux. Unfortunate for him, this is going to be his last weekend of racing. Looks like the effort is pretty telling on his face. And he waves a sad goodbye to his hometown crowd. Hopefully he'll have better legs in Montreal, but that's unfortunate to see.
And they just love him here, born in Cap Rouge, Quebec, 4-time Canadian champion. And just a stalwart cyclist coming off a great season, but announced on Wednesday that he will be retiring after the race in Montreal.
Not the way he wanted to say goodbye, but you know, a short career that was very respectable and very admired, and we'll miss him in the peloton for sure. And up front, the gap is closing it down ever so slightly. Haas now has decided to take some pulls. It's interesting, he wasn't pulling on the flats, now he's pulling on the climb, so kind of mixed decisions on his part as we see up left. That might be Caruso now of Cannondale going across.
There's a brake guard.
This might be Caruso. Now this is the key rider for Cannondale. If he can go in a move, that's going to take pressure off of Sagan and kind of force other teams to actually take responsibility in this race. So look at Caruso bridging across to this breakaway. Judo taking a very big pull. Here's 500 meters to go. They'll be going under the Port St. Louis here in a couple minutes. Can't see where Caruso is. I don't think he's made any inroads. All he's done is basically dragging the field up, which is fine. It's productive contributions by Caruso. You can tell the strain now is starting to show on the riders' faces as Haas now decided that what he's doing up front really isn't in the BMC plan, and he's going to go back and maybe shut this break down for his teammates. You see him looking back there. He's got Brent Bookwalter there. He's got Cadel Evans right there, third wheel. So there's another hint that BMC might have. They play the TJ Van Garderen card. They might play a Cadel Evans card, and they certainly have Van Avermaet card, a big card, almost a joker card for the end. So another fast lap, 42.6 k an hour. We got 2 laps to go, Peter.
Yeah, amazing stuff.
This will be the last feed for these riders from the ground. Probably the last feed they'll take, because they're not going to take anything from the cars. It's just too far back to get something and come back to the front of the race. So this is very key. This might be, if guys miss their feed right now, and if they've been neglecting their nutrition and hydration, it's imperative that they get their last bottle here with 2 laps to go.
24.6K to go, 2 laps to go, the Grand Prix Cycliste de Quebec.
Yeah, you can see the urgency of the Soigneurs. They know that this is a key feed. The riders know it's a key feed. In fact, they've let the rider go. That looks like Bennett of Radio Shack. He somehow came up to this group. So Bennett now for Radio Shack is in the lead. He had a very successful USA Pro Challenge and Tour of Utah, and he's the next rider to attack for Team Radio Shack. He didn't need a bottle. He's going to go for it, but the other riders know the bottle is very important and have decided not to follow and opt for the calories instead. As Veilleux comes up to the 2 laps to go, he'll probably pull the pin and call it a day here and maybe have a better day in Montreal. Got to be some emotions going on in Veilleux's mind. I remember when I retired in my last race, it was certainly an interesting moment. But up front, we have George Bennett, the New Zealand rider, graduate from that Bontrager program. Up front, looks like a Europe car rider, might be Turo still, from that earlier breakaway, trying to come to terms with Bennett from Radio Shack. Yes, that's Turo. And BMC led by Haas, who's chaperoning Cadel Evans and Brent Bookwalter as they politely acknowledges the ovation he's getting.
Such a wonderful guy, and actually a very tender moment here. Meantime, the chasers out there, and they're all after right now 22-year-old George Bennett. Rode in the Tour of Utah, placed 14th in U.S. Pro Challenge on a long list of New Zealand riders that could qualify for a ticket to the World Championships in Florence.
Yeah, I can't see anyone in New Zealand with a better candidate than George Bennett right now. He's riding out of his mind in North America, and look at the effort. He's opened up quite a nifty gap here, although this is a fast part of the course, so the distances are going to be greater with the same type of gap. But Turo, he's in no man's land in between, but Bennett is certainly continuing to fly the flag for Radio Shack after Machado's excellent early part of the race, which I'm not going to guarantee the KOM right now, but certainly looking good for the KOM.
So 2 riders off the front, Radio Shack and Europe Car. In a day that has seen an absolutely supreme challenge. We continue to be lucky to hold off on some of the rain. Back to Bennett.
Turo inching closer, but by the time he gets to Bennett, I think the field will be on top of both of them. So, hopefully Bennett kind of motivates a few other riders. I'm thinking he wants to race from the front get a few guys to bridge across and then infiltrate the break that way. So good tactic. We'll see if it works out. Turo's coming back as Daniel Oss now is doing some big turns. We have Marcus Burkhardt there, third wheel. So BMC still have a lot of cards to play. They have workers for Van Avermaet in the sprint. Cadel Evans, I'm really wondering to see what Cadel Evans is going to do. He was quite far forward in the race and was looking pretty threatening there. He's slid back as Turo pulls the pin from his effort. Going to look back, see if he can help out any other Europe car. I don't see any other green up front, so maybe he's going to go and drag one of his teammates up for the next round of attacks. But BMC giving Cannondale a slight respite on the chasing duties. They don't need to panic with only one rider up front. You see Chavanel looks like on the Mega Pharma on the far right. That's another serious candidate for a late race break. We're only within 2 laps to go here. So this lull in the action is giving the sprinters a much needed breath. The last 2 or 3 laps were very, very difficult, and it's really taking a toll on the field. We see a lot of attrition now in the field. It's probably about half the size it was at the start of the race. As Bennett again tries to go aero. Got to keep your head up on these urban circuits. You don't want to hit any manhole covers or any cracks in the road as he gets as low as possible and continues his early break here as Lamprey now come to the front. Pozzato looking pretty sporty there, Peter, the leader of the Lamprey team, the Italian who just won Ploue, a very difficult single-day race in France. So Pozzato, you know, he was kind of overrated, I thought, for many years, but he's coming up with the goods lately, so we can't discount Pozzato.
And for the leader, George Bennett, but 22 years old, his first time at the World Tour in Quebec.
Yeah, he's usually doing those single-day races in Italy right now in the lead up to World Championships, so it's good to have him here. Good to see Lamprey taking responsibility, shepherding their team leader around. Cunego still one to be talked about. He was very aggressive a few years ago here in the streets of Quebec. He was in that break with Ryder Hegedal in 2010 with Breschel, with Wegman. So Cunego knows the circuit. He knows he doesn't have a chance against those sprinters, so maybe coming to the climb next lap, we'll see some more aggressive action. I think if they wait till the last lap, they got no chance against Sagan, Van Avermaet, and company.
George Bennett from Radio Shack off the front now. Just about 20K to go.
Can't be 10 seconds in that gap, Peter, but we'll see now. Now, we've been talking about Boulevard Champlain and the win. This is crucial real estate for the workers to position their leaders. All the way along this 2K section, you see guys looking back. They're looking for their team leaders. Vacon Soleil is very up front. Sauvaggi is there. So is Legoutin. Sagan, look at him, cool as a cucumber, fourth wheel. His team have done all the work. He's been at the front of the race all day, and it's really their race to lose, Peter.
Sagan is certainly in a great position at the moment. Under 20 to go.
Bennett getting low, trying to get as aero as possible. He's fighting a substantial headwind, maybe a slight cross headwind from the right. Putting his head down, getting aero. He wants the big a gap as possible because he knows there's going to be some athletes and some riders attacking out of the field on the climb this lap. So he wants to be far enough in front that when they get there, they'll be a bit tired and he can jump on and be in the next breakaway with whoever comes out of the field. As Argos, that's Gretsch in white coming to the front. Garmin rider there as well. Good to see Garmin. We haven't seen any of them all day. Danielson has pulled the pin. I've seen Ryder here and there in the race, but I'm looking for a guy like Talansky to show his top 10 form in the Tour de France. I'm looking for him to race aggressive. He is an aggressive rider, so let's see if Talansky can throw out some attacks on the climb this coming lap in about 2 or 3K. Burkhardt and Oss again, big horsepower on the front for BMC. Interesting to see no Cadel Evans, no TJ Van Gardner, no Van Avermaet up there with him. You would think that they would benefit from these guys, their tempo, and getting the good position that goes along with this tempo. So surprising that BMC aren't taking advantage of this work. Evans, TJ, and Van Avermaet should should really be on the wheels of those workers. Lamprey have a formation, Vacansoleil have a formation, Française de Jeu have a formation. They're all trying to get together. Cannondale are dead set in the center. They're getting maximum draft, probably for the first time all day. They've been always at the front in the single line. Oss looks like he's done for the day. He's pulled the pin. He's on the left-hand side. He's done. Burkhardt should be assuming most of the work here as we go to the Côte-la-Montagne.
Well, we're in the closing minutes of this race. 18.4 to go when we return to Quebec City.
Be part of the first ever La Québécoise and La Montréalaise cyclo-sportive. On September 12th and 14th, Tourisme Québec and Sport.
Beautiful Quebec City, 16.9 kilometers to go in this extraordinary race. The Grand Prix Cycliste de Québec, Pete Graves, Gord Fraser, we're happy to be with you.
Here we are at the base of the Côte-la-Montagne, second last time up the climb. Let's see if there's any attack. The sprinters of Argos have got their man, Degenkolb, as far forward as possible. This rider, here's it all on the left, taking a long attack. Let's see what kind of damage he can do. Ryder Hejjedal and a Katusha rider. Let's see if they can form an alliance here. Ryder giving it big ring, 13% climb, and he's going in the big ring. Awesome.
Ryder Hejjedal putting down the hammer here.
This is going to really sting the legs of the sprinters. You saw Degenkolb, the sprinter, he was kind of being proactive there, getting good position, but there's no way he's even got a chance following an attack like one from Ryder Hejjedal on the big chainring on a 13% ramp of the Côte-la-Montagne. That looks like Vorganov again for Katusha, doing a good job. Everyone's taking a breath. The attack really didn't have the effect of stringing out a group here, but certainly it's tenderizing, as I like to say. All the sprinters in this group, there's about 10 riders, 12 riders, there's gaps everywhere in this field.
Hejjedal, of course, as you know, the first Grand Tour winner by a Canadian, winning the 2012 Giro d'Italia.
He's a handy single-day racer, too. He had an amazing Liège-Bastogne-Liège. He handed over the race to Dan Martin, who came up with the goods in Liège, but it really was the work of Ryder Hejjedal that was the cornerstone of that Garmin Sharp victory, as we have, I believe that's Mega Pharma, that's Vandenberg, I think, doing the pacemaking for Omega Pharma. Quick Step, the tall rider. He's got guys like Chavanel in his team. He's got other riders like Kwiatkowski is the Polish champion. Look for him in a white jersey with a red band. So look for Kwiatkowski, who set the Tour de France alight here. But I don't see him. I see Chavanel there, but it looks like Vandenberg is going to take an early flyer. Degenkolb is doing very, very well for the sprinter. I saw him surfing back up to the front. So there's his Vandenberg. He was second, I believe, in Het Volk this year. It's Terpstra. Yeah, Terpstra. Yeah, he had the red and blue bands on his sleeves as ex-Dutch champion. So it's my apologies. That's Terpstra. There's a Katusha rider trying to go across. Rider trying his best to go across as well. As they get on the glacis here, there's a Balkan rider, that's Haysink, up near the front of the group. Sagan is still there, as to be expected. But Terpstra putting in a big attack. The Katusha rider crests, so Terpstra's going to score 10 points in the King of the Mountain competition. Won't be enough to assume the lead. He's going to need, well, he won't be able to catch Machado, who's got that key 2 points, 22 points in the KOM. So if someone doubles up 2 10-point laps, it's not enough. So Machado, I think, as at the KOM, is a Movistar rider. Looks like he's attacking out of the group on the right-hand side there.
Boy, he looks great here. 14.2K to go.
Terpstra looks good. That's Silvaggi from Vacansoleil, the blue team.
And Katusha.
Katusha rider. We'll get his name in a second. It's not Kolobnev just yet. So Katusha throwing out some good tactics this race. Terpstra, solo rider. He's very nifty against the clock. Very strong rider. Always in support of guys like Tom Bonin, Mark Cavendish, those type of riders in the sprints. But he's a former Dutch champion, 55. That is Kuznetsov of Katusha. So we have one Katusha, one Vacansoleil in chase of the Flying Dutchman, Nicky Terpstra. Back in behind, looks like a Lamprey and a BMC rider have clipped off the front of the group. As Terpstra comes past the French consulate there on the right, just past the Chateau Frontenac, with less than a K to go on the second last lap.
Gordon, I'm trying to note where Ryder Hezidol went.
Yeah, he's disappeared from the front here, so he didn't quite have the legs to follow Terpstra. He did do the first major attack on this lap, but Terpstra countered well. So Vaggi is there. There's the Orica team. That looks like Albacini and a Skyrider. Might be Port, BMC and a Lamprey, Astana, Argos. Still no Garmin. I don't see Ryder anywhere yet. Lots of Belkin there, but they're a little bit further behind. That's Talansky. Just passing through for Garmin as Terpstra comes up for the bell with 1 lap to go, Peter. Number 65, Nicky Terpstra, former Dutch champion, showing the strains of a very serious attack. We have Vaggi and the Katusha rider just getting swept up by the remnants of the peloton. Not many guys left, Peter. It looks like about 60 guys left in the peloton. Orica Green Edge leading that charge. That looks like Langeveld.
There's the bell lap. 12.5 kilometers to go. Ultimo giro.
Dernier tour au Quebec. Last lap, almost 44K average. So very fast lap with Terpstra taking out solo breakaway. There's Richie Port from Team Sky leading the chase. Good to see Richie Port at the front of the race. I don't see Froome just yet, but swings off the BMC rider. That's Brent Bookwalter of the United States for BMC. That's Getchka, second in a recent stage of the Tour of Alberta, the white of Argos Shimano. At third position, rider just flashing by there, halfway down the pack. Looking for Ryan Anderson with an orange helmet. Canadian team rider. I don't quite see him just yet. Maybe he's further forward for Team Canada. There's Ryan Roth about halfway down, so Team Canada, there shouldn't be any feeding. So anybody who takes a bottle is running the risk of a fine or perhaps a relegation. So no feeding left from the ground on the last lap, as we see a few more sprinkles of rain on the surface here. That could come into play on Gilmore.
On this, the final lap, the Dutchman has a 25-second lead now.
That looks like Nordhaug himself from Belkin, the Montreal winner last year, taking up chase, realizing the danger, knowing that he needs to be aggressive to drop some of those sprinters, tiptoeing through that corner a little bit. You see the glistening of the moisture on the surface as Nordhaug goes through that corner. Terpstra chucks the bottle. He's done with that. He's fully light, fully aero. He's got the kind of skin suit that a lot of these riders are adopting now for these marginal gains. More aerodynamics, so Terpstra still in front, probably a 10-15 second gap.
And he is really committed to this now.
Nordhaug checking under his shoulder, seeing how the chase. Now you see the Omega Pharma, that could be Devenins again, and he's slowing up the chase because he's got his man Terpstra in front. Now it's a tall order. Terpstra has a long way to go, 10K, 11K on his own with a lot of headwind and another serious climb. So Omega Pharma has the upper hand right now. He's gonna brake check everyone in that corner. You watch as it's going to kind of ball up the peloton there, but good tactics by Omega Pharma Quickstep as Terpstra's flying here.
It looks great, looks over his shoulder, sees the Norwegian from Tonsberg, Norway.
He's not making inroads. 30-second gap. I don't know if that's to the pack or to Nordhaug, but I don't think Nordhaug's going to get across. So Belkin need to re-examine what they're going to do in this race. They're not going to win it in this situation. They're going to have to continue to encourage attacks as we see some more, looks like Orica riders coming out of the field and an Asana rider to go across to Nordhaug.
Nordhaug rode for Team Sky from the 2010 to 2012.
There it is. There's the gap, 30 seconds now. Nordhaug is not making any dent into Terpstra, so really not what Belkin want in this situation, but he's got to keep going. Maybe a group comes up to him and he can profit from a group, as Omega Pharma all over the front of this group. There's four riders of Omega Pharma slowing up the chase here. Incredible teamwork from Omega Pharma. Sitting second, third, and fourth.
And classic textbook style of teamwork.
Absolutely. Omega Pharma are doing great. Ryder Hesjedal again attacking out of the field on the left-hand side of your screen. Omega Pharma responding in kind of looks like Velets and Bookwalter from BMC. So, you know, the team of Omega Pharma have things covered right now. It's still a long way to go, but strength in numbers for the Belgian outfit.
And the last 10 kilometers of this race are going to be so very exciting here live in Quebec City. 9.6 to go.
Terpstra just got to, yeah, it hurts, I know. He's got his head down. He's giving his team great tactical situation. They have numbers in the back. They're looking across, just shutting everything down. Riders had a couple digs. Nordogs had a big dig. And Terpstra, as he looks at the camera, yep, you're in the lead. You got a great chance. You need more hesitation. There's Ryan Anderson there, Team Canada, right up on the Omega Pharma guys. You see that orange helmet? Distinctive orange helmet of the Optum Cali Benefit Strategies team. The national team rider, one of the revelations of North American racing in the second half of the season. Ryan Anderson looking very good for Team Canada. Let's hope some team can weld this thing together and bring back Terpstra. Cannondale again on the back foot as they've been all throughout this edition of the Grand Prix Cycliste de Quebec. And Cannondale, really, it's their race to lose. Omega Pharma getting in between in their formations and balling it up a little bit. So Omega Pharma, this is a big gap. This might be now 45 seconds. Is it enough to go all the way? I'm not sure, but Cannondale, they got to extend all their resources now onto this chase, and they need help big time.
The peloton 30 seconds back. Ryan Anderson is in that group out of Edmonton, Alberta. There is the Dutch leader.
Getting a much-needed bit of recovery here as he goes down Cote Gilmore. He's going to have to bank some energy. He's got a headwind stretch of 2 kilometers along Boulevard Champlain. So really, you got to get low, get aero, and get rest and get coasting on those pedals. Drop the heart rate a little bit. Take on some much-needed calories, much-needed hydration, and kick hard out of this corner down Cote Gilmore here. 30 seconds still, holding steady.
And we have quite a race here. 8.1 kilometers left. It started at 11 o'clock. 16 laps, over 201 kilometers. We've whittled it down to 7.9 now.
Terpstra did a great job negotiating that turn. He wants every ounce of momentum that he can to kick out of that corner and save some energy. Flying down the Boulevard Champlain while the field is still at the top of Gilmore. So I don't know about this 30-second gap. I think it might be just a bit more.
When last we knew, Ryder Hesjedal, the great Canadian champion, was close to the front of the chase group. And if I know Ryder, he will leave everything he has on this course today.
Yeah, he needs to go right from the bottom to top. He needs to extend the effort of these sprinters. He's got to make it hard on them, but most importantly, he's got to catch Terpstra, who's flown the coop. 35 seconds now. And this isn't doing Sagan any good. His teammate kicked out of the corner. He knows it, Corin. Very nifty rider. He had a great Giro d'Italia. And we've got a, looks like Langeveld from Orica coming up to the back wheel, but he's not doing Sagan any good by being distanced from the peloton. He needs to be tucked right in front of the peloton where Sagan can continue to draft and save his energy for his final burst to the line. So Cannondale, again, they've been awesome this race, but that key moments, they've been missing that little bit. So Lamprey now looks like they have the most organization on the front. Omega Pharma, that's Devenins again. He's not going to help Langeveld at all on the front here. He's got Terpstra up front, and he wants Langeveld to drag him as far forward as possible, but he's not going to help Langeveld, and Langeveld knows that he's sitting up. As now it's Lamprey now with the control of the field. Surprising to me that Lamprey are the team that's dominating the approach to the climb for the last time. And Lamprey, they're looking for Cunego, they're looking for Pozzato to do something special in the streets of Quebec, while up front, 6 kilometers to go. It's Nicky Terpstra now, 6 kilometers to go with 35 seconds the way he's riding. That's a winnable gap. But, Peter, what does he have in front of him? He's got the 3-step climb, Côte de la Montagne, Glacis, and the long stretch of the Grand Olay. Now Sky with Geraint Thomas now sitting on the front. We got Chris Froome, second wheel. Lopez looks like he's inching his way up to give Geraint Thomas a hand. But they're looking to set up Chris Froome here. So Thomas should look over and see that he has a teammate coming. Froome should let Lopez in between the two to help with the pacemaking here on the approach to the climb. Terpstra again looking behind. But great job by Team Sky. Lamprey looking very dangerous there. Their formation sitting tight in behind the flying Englishman of Geraint Thomas and Chris Froome.
That Sky group will be dangerous. We're under 6 now, 5.8 kilometers to go.
We're Sagan now, and now he's got some teammates, but they're a little bit far behind, but they'll bring him up to the front as the climb approaches. Argos looking good too on the right-hand side in the white. So is this chase enough though? Terpstra has 35 seconds. Is it enough? How much has he spent to get that 35 seconds? That's the question. He wants the motorcycle, I think, to go in front to give him a bit of draft. And, no, we can't have that. He's got to do it all on his own in a race at this level. So great job by Terpstra, but just the presence of mind that he's looking around trying to get any advantage is a good sign that he has something left in the tank as Lopez now comes to the front, giving Thomas a much-needed rest. But Froome is their man in third wheel, although Froome lets a Lamprey rider in front of him. Maybe not. He's going to go back to his formation. That's a good move by Froome. As Terpstra approaches the Côte de la Montagne for the last time. A few raindrops sprinkling there, Peter. That could make the turn, that all-important left turn onto the Côte de la Montagne, even more treacherous.
5K to go, 3.2 miles. Thomas, of course, extraordinary this year. Fractured his pelvis as well in the opening stage of the Tour de France, but gutsy, he finished the event. He is one tough guy. Peloton 25 seconds back. 4.6K to go.
Turned in lock, I think it was, from Sky. My apologies. On the front for their team leader, Chris Froome, as Terpstra. Yeah, you can see that the streets are a little bit more slick. That's going to impede his momentum, which is precious at this point. Astana looking like they're close to the front as well. 20 seconds now. Yes, it's been reduced, so some riders have sacrificed themselves for their team leaders as we see this all-important left turn. Oh, it is slick.
You can see it, Gord.
Yeah, we might see some, hopefully not, but we might see a crash here in that last corner as Terpstra's looking behind, looking for the chase. Not sure if 20 seconds is enough, Peter, especially since he's been up front for a whole lap. If 20 seconds, if he was a bit fresher, might be doable, but he's going to give it his best as the field negotiate that turn cleanly, thankfully, as Chris Froome himself, the Tour de France champion, is taking up chase with Astana looking very good on the wheel. Peter Sagan now, himself, Peter Sagan with the attack from the bottom of the Côte de la Montagne. It looks like Trenton of Omega Pharma is trying to cover. Sagan on the big chainring, going up this 13% climb like it was flat.
He is so powerful, incredible. The 23-year-old Slovakian rider, one of the rising talents of the sport.
It's going to hurt, and the Omega Pharma, that's important. That Omega Pharma, that caused that hesitation. I think that was Trentin, caused the hesitation. That's going to give Terpstra another bit of breathing room, but you can see that the chase is right there, Sagan. But who's going to help? Nobody's going to help Sagan in this situation.
I'm afraid he's got to do it on his own, Gord, now.
I think this is just a product of his success, Peter. He's won so many races. He's so dominant that this is kind of hurting him right now. All these riders are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. They don't want to help, but there is a rider up the road, so it's a pretty tough decision on those other riders' parts. They want to win the race, but they don't want to bring Sagan to the line either, so it's kind of a catch-22 for him as Terpstra flying through that turn on the glacis right now. We're coming up to the K1 for the last time. Sagan takes another dig on the front of the group.
Sagan putting the pressure on now. 2.2K to go.
This is what he wants. He wants all of his efforts not to help anybody else. But again, I think that's Trenton in second wheel, playing the team card for Omega Pharma. And Terpstra, can't say enough about the power of this big Dutchman. Again, he's been almost a whole lap solo, and he's continuing to hold off. We just saw, again, turn the corner as Radio Shack now. That looks like Bacalence from Radio Shack taking an attack up to Glacis here for the last time to the KOM 1 BMC. That's Van Avermaet, yes. Van Avermaet, the runner-up of last year from BMC, has responded in kind to the attack from... That's Van Avermaet coming over the top. This is the big favorite of the race. This is maybe the only rider that can beat Sagan in the sprint in this situation, but he has to respect the attack from Terpstra, and he's clawing his way back. Sagan as well, coming with Van Avermaet. They might have to work together to catch Terpstra here.
And there's the Dutchman, the leader in this race, and it's close now with 1.7 to go.
Oh, this is like a pursuit. 1-1-1. Can Van Avermaet shake Sagan? Can Van Avermaet close on Terpstra? Terpstra knows the gig is up. He's sitting up. He wants to get behind those two fast sprinters.
Terpstra coming so close, Gord, to pulling this off.
It's all for naught, but these two sprinters now, will they mark each other out of the race? The Belkin guys, that looks like Haysink coming across. He's got to identify that he can't beat them, and he's got to kind of take advantage of the rivalry between Van Avermaet and Sagan. Don't forget that these two have clashed in the Tour of Colorado just recently, and of course last year the famous race where Sagan tried to get up to Van Avermaet in the finale and failed to do so. So this is an opportunity now. If anybody has the legs, French champion is there, Vichot. Can he do the same move that Vogler did 1 year ago?
Van Avermaet still very much in his prime. The Belgian came into this race as one of the favorites.
Haysink kicks out of that corner, but Sagan looks like he's got the legs to respond. Van Avermaet's there. Looks like maybe Getchka from Argos. And Vichot, the French champ. Terpstra still there from Omega Pharma. After that long attack, he's still there in 5th position. Haysink kicks hard.
The last kilometer to go in this race.
They got to do something, though, to get rid of Van Avermaet and Sagan. That's playing into their hands. Somebody's got to attack from behind. Looks like a Movistar rider there as well. That could be Rui Costa. If it's Costa, that guy's a shrewd tactician. He's going to know the gig and try to make a late attack here to get rid of Sagan and Van Avermaet. Somebody's got to make a move if they're going to win this race in the next 200 or 300 meters. Otherwise, it's game over. It's sprint, and it's Van Avermaet. It's Getchka first. First to attack is Getchka with Terpstra on the wheel, of all people. See that hesitation? The sprinters don't want to close the gap. This could be the hesitation these two need. Terpstra identifies it and kicks over Getchka. Costa there, Movistar, he sees the danger too. He's going to go. Looks like Van Avermaet and Sagan are marking each other out. Like I said, they're letting other people close the gap. They're playing a very, very dangerous game.
Terpstra has showed a lot of grit and determination.
Costa there, third wheel. I like the look of Costa. I like the way he finishes his races. Van Avermaet weaning as look like he's winding up. Same too as Fabian Wegman of Garmin Sharp. Here's the sprint, Peter. Weaning of Orica. Vichot, the French champ. Who's going to take it?
We're in the final seconds of this race. Inside 200 meters to go.
Oh, Haysink looks like he's just leading out Sagan, though. Haysink has the gap. Sagan is blown. Sagan is blown. Van Avermaet still going, but it's Haysink with the win.
Robert Haysink. Yes, he's done it. He's done it. An extraordinary race.
Vichot with second place. I didn't see third, but the story there was Sagan blowing up. I mean, he had to respond to everything at the end. Haysink finally wins Quebec City, Peter. He won Montreal the first year. He's been on the podium in Quebec City. He timed his effort to perfection. I thought he had Sagan on the wheel, but the angle was a little misleading. He was clear, and he took a much-deserved win for Belkin. Robert Haysink, you know, we talked about his pressure as the next Dutch hope for stage racing. There's his wife and child. They were in Tour of Alberta. Alberta was obviously a great prep, but single-day racing, I think, is really where Haysink has shown his best results, and he proved it again today for Team Belkin. What a great race he did.
And there he is, the champion of the day, Robert Haysink, 27 years old. for the Belkin Pro cycling team, a guy with a great, strong climbers, but today he also found the speed in his sprinting legs.
Vichot second, and I think Fabian Wegman might have gotten third for Garmin Sharp, been in the top 10 in every edition. Oh no, Van Avermaet pipped him for third. Oh, he missed the podium again. That's the second, fourth place for Wegman in Quebec City. Gonna be heartbreaking for him to miss the podium by so little, but you look at Van Avermaet, he stalks Sagan erroneously in this part because Sagan right here pulls the pin and blows, and Van Avermaet sees it too late to get to the win, but he's responding with the third place. But Haysink, too much power for the young Frenchman, the French champ Vichot from Française des Jeux. Can't replicate the feat of the French champ Vauclair in 2010, but you can't take anything away from Haysink. Timed his sprint to perfection. You look at him, you don't think he's a great sprinter, but that 4% grade certainly played into his hands, and he's had the experience. He's had a podium here before. He's been kind of anonymous all race. Belkin had a good race with Bowbridge being in the break, but I tell you, Sagan was really the story here. He's got to be frustrated. He's come up short again. He's never won a race here in Canada. He's come close on all these occasions, but really the race was his to lose, and everybody knew it, and pretty much everyone ganged up on him in the finale.
Haysink continuing to refine his craft, and he will be the toast of the town tonight in Quebec City. His wife and children have greeted him at the finish line. There it is right there, that poignant moment.
Not a bad way to finish a race, with a win and a kiss.
Certainly lovely and very profound.
The little one knows the moment is special.
Well, a big congratulations to Robert Haysink. And what an extraordinary race we've seen. Gord, there are the final standings.
Yeah, there's Haysink with the win, Vichot and Van Avermaet, a very excellent podium. Wegman, again, the bridesmaid, fourth place for a second time. Costa, I thought, Costa with 500 meters to go, I thought he looked like he had some cards to play for the win. Obviously not. Terpstra, what a great ride he did for Omega Pharma Quick Step. Solo the whole last lap, gets caught, still has a play for the win, comes up short. Slagter, another Belkin rider in the top 10. Breschel for Saxo Bank in 9th, and Geschke, he played his card as well in the finale for Argos, just a little bit short as they actually gapped off the rest of the pack there. It might have been 10 or 12 weaning there coming in, but Haysink looking ever so much the sprinter, out drag racing all those guys up to the line on that 4% grade on the Grand Allée.
Back in 2001, Haysink also broke his leg in 4 places in a training crash.
I'm looking on his cassette, and he is in fact on his biggest gear on the 5311, up a 1K 4% grade, and he's on his 11 cog to win that sprint. Wasn't pretty, but certainly it was incredibly powerful. And you gotta hats off to Haysink for scalping the sprinters on their own ground. I mean, he did a great job, and a worthy winner. Long time coming for him in Quebec. And we talk about the double. Nobody's done the double yet. Sweeping the weekend with Montreal and Quebec. Haysink has won Montreal before. He's now won Quebec. Dare I say we might have a candidate to do maybe the unthinkable, but I think he has a chance to do the double.
Well, it would be exciting to see. This the 4th edition of the Grand Prix Cycliste de Quebec, where Sunday we hope you'll join us as we continue our live coverage with the Grand Prix de Montreal.
Yeah, and you got to think Montreal is a better race for guys like Haysink. The slopes of Mount Royal, it's a more aerobic type of effort. This Quebec climb, it's divided into 3. It's a very sharp, very violent, anaerobic. It's an anaerobic effort that they have to repeat 3 times or 4 times even to get up there as Contador goes back to the hotel. But Montreal, it brings into that power to weight ratio where the climbers of the Grand Tours actually have an advantage. So, the climbers again, we talked about Haysink, unfulfilled potential in the Grand Tours and maybe a little bit better in the single day, but you got to think that he just beat the sprinters on their own game, and that bodes well going into Montreal.
And Chris Froome talked about how the Montreal race he thought would be much better for him as well.
Yeah, we didn't really see Cadel in the finale. We saw a lot of his team. We saw TJ and Moinard and Morabito, who were driving that early break. We saw Austin the next break, and obviously Van Avermaet did his part to try to go to Terpstra and try to get rid of Sagan in the finale. So BMC are looking really good. They just missed out on a flying Haysink here, but I think as a collective, the BMC guys looked the sharpest here today. Hopefully that translates for them into a big win tomorrow. That could be Wegman. Wegman with another top 10, 4th place. Yeah, that's Wegman, all right. He's got to be disappointed. I joke with him in the lobby. He's a really animated guy. He always performs well in North America. He won the San Francisco. You can see it on his face. He's so disappointed without getting on that podium. But he won the San Francisco Grand Prix back in 2005. He's been in the top 10 in every edition of the Grand Prix Cycliste de Quebec. He's been in the hunt in Montreal as well, as Chavanel and some of his teams have already got a rain cape on and are coasting down the Grand Allée back to their 5-star accommodations here at the Chateau Frontenac. And Wegman, you saw it on his face. He was crushed. 4th place in a World Tour race, and he's disappointed. I think that speaks volumes right there.
It does indeed, and we were also very lucky on the weather today. When I think about the kind of rain that we had earlier in the week, it would have been nasty.
That little bit of sprinkling, that really thwarted Terpstra's momentum in those corners in the last few K. I don't know if it would have changed the outcome so much, but certainly I think he would have wanted it dry to carry more speed. He's a big boy, big body, and he needs that momentum to get up the climb, but I think he was the man of the race, really. Terpstra really took it in.
Very happy.
All right. Gord, let's go to the winner.
I'm really, really happy. I mean, I had a really tough year so far. Giro didn't work out, and afterwards, I really wanted to show myself, and done a lot of work in America the last months and in Canada, and I'm really happy now. It comes out.
You won in Montreal in 2010. It seems like you really like Quebec.
Yeah, I really like the area. I mean, that was my first really big victory, and this one is maybe even more special because it was a really hard year so far, and in the sprint with these guys, I'm really happy.
What's next? Montreal and then the World Championships?
Yeah, for sure. Try to do the best I can in Montreal and then on the Worlds. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
All right, words with the new champion, the reigning champion, and another look back at a phenomenal effort that brought 27-year-old Robert Haysink across the finish line and to this great victory.
Yeah, like I said, Peter, I think we got a serious candidate for the double. Gilbert really squandered that a couple years ago. He won Quebec with ease, and he was certainly head and shoulders above everyone in Montreal, but he was tired of being the #1, and he called everyone's bluff and was refusing to do everyone's work for him, and that cost him the win. But Haysink, on the other hand, here, he looks really good, and here's the replay of the sprint, and there really wasn't much in it in terms of closeness, but I think what the story there was more Sagan and Van Avermaet. Van Avermaet, made an error by stalking Sagan there, where Sagan had no more legs left with all the gaps he had to close and the attacks he had to shut down in the finale. So Van Avermaet might want to have that sprint back, but he's still got 3rd place in a World Tour race. He's got Montreal on Sunday. I don't know if it's too hard for him. The climb is pretty long, but he's certainly in great shape, and that was kind of the subplot of that sprint. But Haysink, just took the boots to the sprinters on their own game in the finale here in Quebec City. So incredible ride by the likable Dutchman. You know, like he said, he had a tough year. You know, he had the weight of Holland for many years as the next big Dutch stage race hope, and that's a lot of pressure. And it's good to see him coming out and finishing his season strong with a win here, and hopefully silencing some of those can be very harsh critics in Europe.
Bienvenue
you can look at the chain. Look at the chain on his cassette. It's always slammed down on the 11.
Merci d'accueillir chaleureusement les dignitaires de cette
folks, we're about ready to go to the podium ceremony, so let's listen in.
Québec. Le directeur régional de Kia Canada, Monsieur Philippe Lamar.
Philippe Lamar of Kia.
L'éditrice du Journal de Québec, Maître Louise Cordeau.
Along with Louise Cordeau of Québecor. Very important sponsor of cycling in Canada. We appreciate her support.
Des collectivités et affaires gouvernementales et ministre de l'Agence de développement économique du Canada pour les régions du Québec, l'honorable Denis Lebel.
An avid cyclist, I hear, Peter, in his own right. And of course, the mayor.
Et Monsieur le maire de la ville de Québec, Monsieur Régis Labaume.
Very big supporter of sport in this province of Quebec.
Accueillons maintenant votre podium 2013. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2013 podium.
Matt there looks satisfied with his third place. Pacing, of course, elated with his win. And Vichot, we haven't talked much about this French champ. We saw him all day, Peter, tail gunning with Parisien. Obviously trying to stay out of trouble, stay out of any extra work, and he came to the front when he needed to.
Pour lui remettre son trophée, merci d'accueillir de Kia Canada, Monsieur Philippe Lamar.
Here in Quebec.
Allez, une main d'applaudissement pour Greg Van Avermaet. Deuxième l'an dernier, troisième cette année. Il va revenir l'an prochain et gagner. Deuxième du Grand Prix de Québec 2013 de la formation FDJ.fr. Vous avez devant vous le champion de France, Arthur Vichot. Pour lui remettre son trophée de Québécois, Maître Louise Cordeau. Merci, Maître Cordeau, encore une fois pour Arthur Vichot, s'il vous plaît. Faites-vous entendre, mesdames, messieurs. FDJ.fr.
Vichot taking the applause for second place. Well deserved. I like that old school French champion jersey. No advertising. Like French champion. Everyone knows who sponsors them. Hastings.
And there he is.
The big win here in Quebec for Belkin.
Pour lui remettre le bouquet du vainqueur, veuillez accueillir le ministre de l'Infrastructure, des collectivités et affaires gouvernementales et ministre de l'Agence de développement économique du Canada, l'honorable Denis Lebel, qui sait apprécier un champion car lui-même fait beaucoup de vélo, des milliers de kilomètres par année. Pour lui remettre son trophée, Monsieur le maire de la ville de Québec, Régis
thousands of kilometers per year on the bike himself, the honorable minister. And the mayor, Monsieur Lebaume, again, huge fanatic of sport, very well liked here in the province, in the city of Quebec.
S'il vous plaît, applaudissons Robert Ressink, Arthur Vichot et Greg Van Avermaet. Messieurs, dames, les photographes, laissez-vous aller.
And the photographers taking their final shots.
Robert, Arthur, Greg, just stay there for a second.
I can hardly wait to see how Machado steps onto that podium after the day he had.
L'honorable Denis Lebel, une photo en incluant nos dignitaires.
They even gave a second time gap in the final standing, so they deemed he had a gap. Vichot and Hastings got a gap over Van Avermaet. I think that was a bit harsh. I don't think there was a gap there, but no harm. It's a single day race. The time gaps are irrelevant. Contrary to the Tour of Spain right now, Chris Horner with a 3-second lead as we see a replay of the sprint. You see Van Avermaet coming over top of Wegman for third. Hastings a very clear winner though over Vichot.
Hasek roaring by the field
Look at that emotion.
and experiencing that jubilation.
You can tell it was a lot of pressure off his shoulders with that scream for victory for Hasek, and he even admitted it's been a difficult year for him, and good to see going into Montreal. Dalkin have the pressure off now.
Pour la remise
Enjoy tonight in the Grand Allée.
du trophée au meilleur coureur canadien.
We're going to have the top Canadian here soon on the podium.
Merci d'accueillir.
Didn't see who it was across the line. Maybe Ryder Hesjedal. I didn't see Anderson in the finale. He was looking good at the bottom of the hill, but that last climb was played out very aggressively, and didn't see him
La directrice
place very high. Let's see who the top Canadian is.
Madame Lydia Continelli.
Mathieu, he's the president of Canadian Cycling on the left, and
Et le
Lydia
chef
Continelli.
de la direction de Cyclisme Canada, Monsieur Greg
Prize
Mathieu.
for the top Canadian.
Place au meilleur grimpeur.
Well, this is best climber, so we know it's Machado.
Well, to say the least, he was electrifying all day long.
Can't say enough about him. Of course, he won all those single point. What really stood out for me was the fact that he was able to hang on that flying BMC group and still pick off those 6-point sprints, 6-point laps, and that's what was the key for him. The other two guys couldn't hang on, Bilbao and Agnoli, but he was able to hold on and score some more points to get this podium, and well-deserved for the Radio Shack team.
Madame Lydia Continelli d'Air Transat, s'il vous plaît.
And for my money, he certainly has earned this moment in the spotlight.
Pour Thiago Machado, meilleur grimpeur. Non seulement a-t-il roulé en échappé avec deux autres, quand il a été repris par le train Van Garderen et compagnie, il est resté avec eux jusqu'au bout. Le meilleur grimpeur, Thiago Machado, Radio Shack, Leopard, félicitations.
So, very well done.
Next up on the podium should be our top Canadian. Let's see who it is. I know who it is. Do you know, Peter? We'll leave it as a surprise. How about that? Oh, 1 point. All those points came into play for Machado. Wins it by 1 point over Terpstra. So all those little points added up, and those 6-point laps really were the key for Machado. So great job by the Portuguese rider. Who's the best Canadian, Peter? You got a guess?
I've heard it in my earphones. I won't say.
I think it's a popular top Canadian.
Oh, indeed.
Hopefully he has another good ride in Montreal tomorrow. It's Ryder Hesjedal, top Canadian today in Quebec City. You know, he was on the back foot. He did try an attack. He was like the first to attack with 2 laps to go on the climb. Terpstra countered, got his gap. Would have been interesting to see if Ryder had enough to go with Terpstra. What would have happened if he could have teamed up with Terpstra there, if the timing was just a little different. But Ryder's shown some good form. It's disappointing that he's not going to go to World Championships, but, you know, he's had a long season. And certainly deserves to have an early end to his year. But you know, this is encouraging for Montreal tomorrow. He rode really well today, and hopefully he can use that long climb of the Camille Oud Mount Royal to his advantage on Sunday.
Such a nice guy, such a gracious and humble champion.
Congratulations, Ryder. Job well done. Photo, s'il vous plaît.
So after Montreal, he will take some well-deserved time off.
Merci à vous tous. Merci à tous nos partenaires. C'est ainsi que prend fin la 4e édition du Grand Prix cycliste de Québec.
Great race today, Peter. What do you expect on Sunday?
I expect more of the same. It's going to be wonderful. We'll see you in Montreal on Sunday. And the majestic ramparts of the Chateau Frontenac, where we will be in just a few minutes' time. It's been a wonderful race here today. Robert Hesjedal has come up with a victory for the Dutch team. It's been a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us, everybody. For our entire team here, and for Gord Fraser, I'm Peter Graves, saying so long, everyone.